Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the voyages of 3 veteran Trekkies, Rich, Ian, and Toby. Their ongoing mission? To explore the vast Star Trek universe, to seek out new perspectives and fresh debates, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. Beyond the Final Frontier.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Final Frontier, a Star Trek podcast with me, your host, Rich Matthews, and my fellow Voyagers, Mr. Toby Weidman.
Hello.
And Mr. Ian Spelling.
Hey there, everybody.
You completely threw me. You reversed it.
I know. As ever, we're pros. I like to keep everyone on their toes. So this week, we've got a special guest. So in terms of introducing our guest and our theme, I'm going to hand over to Toby, who has bartered this guest for us to come and join us. We're very excited. So Toby.
Yes, our guest today is the lovely Kate O'Shaughnessy, an ace content creator. She's probably best known for her insightful and very real reaction videos to a whole host of genre TV, most notably The Walking Dead. I know she's also done stuff like The Boys and Stranger Things. Heated Rivalry is a favourite at the moment, and Star Trek. She's also interviewed multiple stars from her favourite shows on her YouTube channel, which she started well over a decade ago now, which is roughly about the time when I first met her. She's also really into her music and is the drummer for the band Lyterian, which makes her the ideal guest for our theme today, which I'll let Rich cover. She's a proud Irish gal, a woman of many hairstyles and really cool tattoos. Welcome to the pod, Kate O'Shaughnessy.
Thank you so much for having me. Jesus, I have a lot to live up to with that intro.
And don't call Toby Jesus. It goes straight to his head.
Right, I'll just scratch that so from the list.
Great. So the theme today is our top 5 favourite title, themes and sequences, which is an interesting thing to balance out because...
It really changed my list.
Yeah, it did. Reconciling the two. Because if it was TV themes, it was kind of straightforward. But making it the sequences has made it very interesting from my point of view. And as ever, I kick off when we have a guest because that way we don't throw you under the bus.
But before we do that...
Oh, I do this every time now.
We always ask our guests one question, Rich.
Yeah, I know. And the last 3 times we've had a guest, I've missed it. What was your first experience of Star Trek, Kate?
Ooh. Being honest, my very first memory, I think, was of Voyager. My grandmother used to love the show Home and Away. Do you guys remember that show?
Yeah. Sure.
It is kind of terrible, but also absolutely brilliant. Every single day it used to be on at about 6:30 on RTE. And it didn't matter what was going on in the household. You shut up and you sat down when Home and Away was on.
Hemsworth was on that one, right? Not Neighbours. I can never remember.
He was. Hemsworth was a river boy on Home and Away. Yes. Not at all anything got to do with why I liked Home and Away, by the way. Just
kept his shirt on all the time, didn't he?
Always, yeah. He actually wore a zip-up coat and a little balaclava. But before Home and Away was on, Voyager was always on. There'd been an episode of Voyager playing in the 6 to 6:30 slot. So while we were like teetering around, getting dinner ready, it would be on. And I just remember being, for some reason, terrified of it. And I wasn't young. I would have been like 7 or 8, and I just was absolutely terrified of it.
That's interesting. Maybe that's because we do say, Toby is fond of saying that Janeway is a
tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's one of the first memories that I have with, actually, that I can think of it like being a thing. You know what I'm saying? But I know in my teen years I went to the pictures to see the Chris Pine films. But it was just like, you're going with your friends on a Saturday, let's go see a film. And actually 2 of my friends were massive Trekkies. And they'd be like, yeah, come on, the new whatever is out. And I'd be like, yeah, let's go. And we're sitting in the cinema. And I have never in my life, at that point, had seen anything like proper from start to finish got to do with Star Trek. And they're there like talking amongst themselves. Did you see that? And did you see this was a reference to? And I'm there, mouthful of popcorn, like, that's Chris Pine, I know him. Yeah, I've seen him in a few things. He's quite good.
But did you enjoy the films?
I actually really liked them. I know that's kind of a hot take. I thought they were fun.
I think if you're seeing it as a teenager, they're probably perfect, actually. Because, they're very action-based. Us old farts are the ones who, we need ethical debates.
Well, I'm the fartiest of the old, and they have nothing to do with Star Trek, but they are entertaining.
I'll kick off with my number 5 title sequence. The title sequence as a whole and the theme tune. At number 5 is probably the only time this series will get into a top 5 of mine. Discovery.
Oh.
Discovery Season 1.
You're drinking early this morning. Okay.
No, well, this is the thing. If you just go on, I love the beginning and the title sequence. It's really nice. I love the move away, the schematic blueprint drawings. I mean, it's the beginning of the metaphoric title sequence, wasn't it? Where they have things exploring what's coming, what's in the show, rather than it being the more conventional ship flyby. So it was nice. It was interesting. I like Jeff Russo's score. He's very good at that sort of nod towards the other music, Alexander Courage and main theme especially. The first time I saw it, Trek was back on TV. I was full of hope. I was full of the optimism that Star Trek's supposed to have. And I just really liked that. By the end of the episode, I was less happy. At that point, I was really happy. And when I went back to it, I did, bless YouTube, I was able to watch all the title sequences, of course. I did so again. And yes, you know what? I do really like this one. So I decided to embrace the fact this will be the highest ranked Discovery will ever get on any of my lists. It's my number 5.
That's a sign of a really good team. If you still love the team, even though...
Mixed on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, in at number 5, and I didn't plan it to go this way, but 5 is Voyager. Maybe it is a mixture of the nostalgia of I hear it and it's like I can almost see my grandmother's house, as soon as that starts playing. But it's also, it's so 90s. As a 90s baby, there's just something like that opening with the close-up. It's, again, I'm pulling references from nowhere here, but it really reminded me, for some reason, I rewatched it, and it really reminded me of Black Hole Sun. Not the song, the visuals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I like the font. I like the 2 tones. I like the color. I like that we're playing with dimensions. You got a little bit of a 3D thing going on. 2 of my favorite colors as well, blue and green, heavily featured throughout the visuals. Yeah, you've great orchestra, great use of drums in the beginning before you get into it, before it really opens up. I like it.
What about Jerry Goldsmith's work?
Yeah, man. Oh my God, I did a deep dive on him recently. I could not believe the amount of things that he had worked on.
Oh, yeah.
You've Gremlins, you've The Mummy, Alien.
Yeah, he's a great composer.
All right, my number 5 is Deep Space Nine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I would go with Deep Space. It had a challenge, unlike any other Star Trek at the time, which was to be Star Trek but not Star Trek. We're not going into the unknown, so you're not getting that more or less heroic theme. You're getting the wormhole. And what is this? And so it's got question marks within the music that I really, really appreciate the way Dennis McCarthy brought it all to life. I thought it was creative. I thought it was sophisticated. It's a lot of, if I remember correctly, French horns, strings, woodwinds. Isolation is what we're getting here. And that's the whole point of the show. And for many of the characters is dealing with isolation and what it means thematically, what it means personally, what it means in terms of war, what it means in terms of peace, what it means in terms of hatred, what it means in terms of can you really go boldly if you're stuck in one place? I think it all tied into that, and the visuals complemented that. I'm not a giant fan of the more recent sequences, mainly because they're visual effects and it's obvious. And why you will see me go more with the older stuff is simply because models did it for me. Whereas visual effects, I feel like I'm looking at a high-tech cartoon. The music is great, there's just others that I like better.
Which version?
It's got to be the season 4 onwards, surely.
It's got to be the season 4 version when they bring in the Defiant and the other things as well. It's got a little bit more action, but again, I appreciate the first version more simply because it needed to be so different from anything that came before it, and I thought it really delivered the goods on that front.
It's interesting you said about CG because one of the things which kicked it out of my list was that opening comet. Never been a fan of that.
Right, but my thing is, the ships in the other ones look CG. I don't mind a comet looking CG, because what are you going to do, film a comet?
Could be a model comet.
I have no problem with that. We didn't have GoPro to catch a comet at the time. We probably will in the near future, but not yet.
Fair point.
I have to say DS9 is not in my list because I think that theme tune is one of the worst. I don't dislike it, it's really low down on my list.
You should open your window so we can't hear you, Toby.
Okay. I'm with Kate. Voyager is my 5th spot. I expect this might be higher, particularly on Rich's list. I think the score is brilliant. It is one of Star Trek's best, in my opinion. It combines elements of everything that had gone before it. You've got the sense of exploration from the original series with those little sort of tinkles and chimes in the background. Got the feeling of intrepidness of TNG with the dum-da-dums and the rising strings. And then you've also got sort of there's that isolation element, which Ian just mentioned from Dennis McCarthy's Deep Space Nine theme with the central brass melody and bringing in notes of sadness, you know.
This is how you do it properly, that's the point, isn't it?
The opening visuals are essentially a collection of beauty passes of the Voyager. I do think they're very gorgeous and very well done. My favourite bit is the gaseous cloud scene where the ship is cutting through it and creating the sort of bioluminescent wake.
There's such a joke to be made right there, how you can relate to gaseous clouds. But go on, I don't want to interrupt.
Especially because the Voyager looks like a toilet seat.
Oh. At the close, you have the nacelles moving into the warp position. I remember finding that when I first saw that really sort of engaging, if you'll pardon the pun. So yeah, I think it just works really well, that whole title sequence with the music, and Jerry's score is fantastic.
It's higher on mine. So it's interesting that I wondered if Ian would skew older.
Because he is older? Come on, throw the insult.
Nah, dude, I wasn't going to bring age into this at all. But now we've gone there. No, it's because, one of us always has a caveat that we try to sometimes put a constraint on ourselves, or we try to look at it slightly differently. And I really did try to view these based on my reaction watching them now to some degree. And so because of that, my number 4 is Prodigy. Because at the time, I was a bit down on the franchise because of Discovery. And one thing that I think we've all discovered watching Prodigy, either at the time or now for the podcast, is how good it really is, and how it really picked up that spirit of exploration and optimism and the IDIC of Roddenberry's vision of the utopian inclusive future. Because it's animation, it's entirely fitting that it looks animated, and it takes what Voyager started with to some degree, which is the beauty pass, and combines it with a little bit more of the energy of something like Discovery, but also Next Generation, where it's a bit more up-tempo, and the original speeding shit from the original series. It's Michael Giacchino, who of course did JJ's films as well, and the music, for me, is the best part of those films. When I've seen 2009 Star Trek again with an orchestra, that was fabulous. Really good energy, bombastic drums and things. It was very good. It lifted the film, undeniably.
I bet.
And yeah, it's got energy, it's exciting, visually it's very varied and dynamic. And yeah, I just found myself thinking, you know what? This is a great title sequence. It's a good show. This is a great title sequence. And it's my number 4.
It's a great choice, Rich. And I'll say why later.
Ooh, you tease.
Not on my list.
Okay, I'm kind of sweating buckets now with the idea of bringing up my number 4. I feel like I'm going to get absolutely jumped on.
Go on.
My number 4 is Picard, Star Trek Picard.
Ah, okay.
Ooh, which one? Because they're all different.
The version I like is season 1. I think with them it's something you're either going to love or hate. Like the modernity of it and the new twist on it. I like that. I feel like it still keeps kind of the essence vaguely, you know what I mean, of a Star Trek theme. But at the same time, I love it. There's whimsy. I love the flute. I love the visuals. I love that you don't really know what you're seeing, but at the same time, you don't want to tune out. You know what I mean? It's not vague enough that you lose interest in terms of visuals. That shot of Picard, come on. You talk about a mic drop moment. I loved that. I absolutely loved that.
It's my second favourite Russo theme, and it's what you just mentioned. I really like the flutes at the beginning and at the end. The middle bit I'm less It's not I dislike it again, but I really, really, in terms of the beginnings, I really like that beginning bit with the flute. It's really melancholic and suits where Picard was at that stage in his career.
I just can't believe someone agreed at all. I'm like, damn, okay.
Don't worry, Kate. People are going to go mad over my list.
Toby, is it in your top 5?
No, it isn't. It's just outside, but it was very close.
5.5?
maybe 6 or 7.
Didn't you think he looked a bit sleepy? In that actual thing?
No, I thought he looked badass.
That's sort of like, someone needs to give to Pat a bit of a...
You're just a hater.
I hope nobody sees this before we get to Vegas, because nobody's going to want to talk to you, Rich. Oh, be careful how much you shit on Picard and Discovery and then ask them for interviews, dude.
You haven't heard the end of my list. You haven't heard the end of my list yet.
Can't wait. My number 4 is the original series, the Alexander Courage theme. That started it all. But I will also say the flyby is just a thing of beauty. So mix that, beautiful music, unbelievable flyby bit, Shatner's narration. It is the OG of science fiction themes for television specifically. And it holds up. I watched it again. I tried to track down the version that had lyrics just for shits and giggles. It's sweeping. The brass is fantastic. That soprano vocal is terrific and memorable as well. And honestly, who can't hum the theme? So this is where it all started. I don't care how many other shows come along between that. If we do this again in 20 years and there's another 5 Star Trek shows, the original has to be somewhere on the list. And I'll stop right there. Because I have made my point, damn it. Looking right at you, Matthews.
Yeah, it's not on my list.
Yeah. Well, we know you're an original series hater, so...
That's not true. I'm just not... I don't
just
get
remember, none of this would be happening were it not for the original series.
And I always acknowledge that. I just don't have an original series boner like these gents.
No, you save it for next gen.
Yeah. And the thing with this one specifically is I've never liked the main theme. I've always liked the intro, the fanfare, which was ported over into the movies. I've never liked that original Alexander.
It's interesting that it's the fanfare is the thing that gets reused, for sure.
Because it's that bit's awesome. And then it goes into this... like,
How do you not like that? That's the most magical part.
Seriously?
Never have.
Do you even like this show, this franchise?
I came to it with the movies in my youth, and so before I saw the original series, I'd seen the motion picture in Wrath of Khan, and then I saw the first episode and went, what's this music? What is this? I was used to orchestras, full orchestra, and Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner at this point, and I was just like, oh yeah. So much so that I remember seeing when Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, a terrible movie, had Alexander Courage in the music. I was like, oh shit.
Well, talking about full orchestra, that leads me very nicely into my 4th spot, which is Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah, I expect this to be very divisive. I'm just going to say, putting aside the music for a moment...
The visuals are good.
Visually, this is my favourite of all of them. I really love it. I think it captures lots of stuff to do with Star Trek that I adore. It's about human endeavour, invention, creativity, the desire for knowledge and exploration, all of those things. I love that it features real key moments from history, mixed with a little bit of Star Trek fantasy, from the Polynesian explorers sailing the seas through the Spirit of St. Louis, the ISS creation. Then you've got the Phoenix from First Contact, the Lunar Flyer, and the first flight of the NX-01. I do also love that they changed it up for season 4's In a Mirror Darkly, where they did basically a whole new title sequence celebrating the conquest of the evil Terran Empire. I thought that was really, really smart. So let's come to the elephant in the room.
An elephant called Russell Watson. Is that what we're calling Russell Watson now?
Right. Do I think the song is a disaster? No, I don't. I admire the bravery of Berman and Braga deciding to do something different and change things up a
song
little
wasn't
bit.
a bad idea. That song was a bad idea.
This is the thing. Faith of the Heart The lyrics do mostly match in terms of the theme of the exploration. That's so central to the show. But when I hear it, I hear Rod Stewart and I think Robin Williams, Patch Adams.
You should have brought out the red nose.
Yeah. I can't help it. And so I can't make that balance. I can't correlate the two thematically. The song is just too cheesy, a rock ballad for a Star Trek theme.
So which one is better for you then? Like the same way that DS9, when they changed it season 4, they up-tempoed it a little bit. They did the same for this. They added that acoustic guitar, rhythm guitar
Doesn't
in.
really make too much of a difference to me, I'll be perfectly honest. I would say in terms of the music, that all I think of is Patch Adams. Could it have worked if they'd gone on the route of an original song? Maybe. I guess we'll never know. I also have to say there's one thing in the song, there's one line which really, really bugs me. And it's been a long time, but my time is finally near. That repetition of time in one sentence, it really, really aggravates me as an editor.
Woo, woo, grammar police, woo.
But why not change it to, I know, it's been a long while.
Okay.
But my time is finally near. That would have made no difference. The song is truncated anyway in order to fit the title.
This is your number 4, and you're saying all this.
That's what I was thinking. He's like, it's my number 4, and so basically I hate it.
But I had to think about it. What are my favourite titles? And this is quite a long way ahead of all the others.
So do you do this? La, 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 and just watch it? Is that what happens?
Do you know what actually happens? I sing along to it. Can't help myself.
Then what the fuck are you complaining about?
Yeah, it worked.
I'm just saying it doesn't suit Star Trek.
You're watching Star Trek.
Yeah, Tobes, if you sit there and you start going, it's been a long road, then you love it, and you should just own it.
He doesn't want to admit enjoying it.
Exactly. Right. Toby, what is your favorite Celine Dion song?
Fuck knows.
Titanic,
I have no
innit,
idea.
Gov?
I have no idea. That's probably the only one I know.
But no, you probably weep to the song, and you just don't want to admit it.
Well, I do hate Titanic, so... But yeah, hey, you stick some K-pop on, I'll sing along and bop to it.
Bop.
I don't need to see this.
Bop to the K-pop.
You like listening to a bit of Huntrix, do you?
Well, no, Blackpink, obviously.
Don't try and recover. You've done it.
Who else has got Enterprise in their list? I bet no one.
No, you're right. I haven't got Enterprise in my list.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is Voyager. I love this title sequence so much. So for a bit of context, while Deep Space Nine is now my favourite Star Trek show, at the time, as we've talked about before, I had a very typical response to it because I was relatively young. It sort of flummoxed a lot of my expectations and I couldn't immediately see its strengths and values. Admittedly, it hadn't fulfilled itself the way it has now. So when Voyager came along, at that point, early in Deep Space Nine's run, before it had really found itself, as well as me finding more meaning in it, Voyager was just what I wanted. Joking aside, I do agree with Toby in the same way that Dennis McCarthy's theme for Generations is the weakest Star Trek movie music by quite a long way, even a film like Star Trek V, because that's Jerry Goldsmith, so you can listen to that score and ignore the film. I was so over the moon just at the title sequence of Voyager when it debuted, when it premiered. I loved Jerry Goldsmith's work. It resonated with his First Contact theme, which came later, which again, he had a gift for doing that slow, melancholic, yet still epic score. And it really brought out that sense of loneliness that the Voyager's going through, and yet still maintained the sweep of Star Trek, the grandeur of Star Trek. It had easily the best visual effects of the Star Trek title sequences, but its combination of some of the digital space effects with the model of the Voyager, it lifted my soul, is the best way I can put it. That gets me a long way. And an important thing for me is in this age of skip intro that we all have access to, I will never skip the Voyager intro. I'll watch it every time I watch a Voyager episode. It's not Voyager without it. You're diminishing your experience if you remove the tone, the mood, and just the affection that I have for it. Voyager, number 3, easy, love it.
I think it's funny you brought up the idea of the skip intro, because that's something I was going to bring up as well when Toby threw out the topic for this episode. I was like, do people still listen to intros? Don't people just skip the intro every time now? And I feel like with streaming and stuff, it's gonna get to that point where just people aren't gonna bother with intros or title sequences anymore, and it's fucking sad.
Which has happened to movies. So if you're me and you see Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back in a double bill when you're 5, and you see Superman and Superman 2 in a double bill when you're 5, title sequences are the bee's fucking knees. So like, if you watch Choose Another Space Movie, Battle Beyond the Stars, my friends here know I love that, which was this, the terrible Roger Corman Star Wars rip. Not terrible, actually.
It's fun.
It's Magnificent Seven in space.
Yeah, it's good, cheesy fun.
Yeah, it is fun. But James Horner did the score for that, and that score is the perfect example of score that's better than the film, and it got him the Star Trek gig for Wrath of Khan. And that score's amazing. And that title sequence is easily the best thing of the whole film. And I completely agree with you. Buffy, without listening to Nerf Herder, isn't the same.
Yeah.
I miss title sequences. They don't have to be really long. They really set the tone, and it's part of the rhythm of watching something, I think.
Let me jump in there for 1 second. This is totally in topic, but not Star Trek, since we're talking about that. If you watch a lot of the Apple Plus shows, they have great music and great title sequences.
They do, you're right.
They really do. Your Friends and Neighbors, I think it's the same company that does a lot of them because they have a certain look to them. Part of the problem is, especially back in the day of early syndication, the shows had to be 44 minutes because you had to have 16 minutes of commercials to fill out your hour. And then all of a sudden, the shows were allowed to go to 42 minutes, not 44 anymore. Not allowed, forced is the better word. And so suddenly, title sequences needed to be shorter or eliminated.
Yes, your 2 minutes, essentially, isn't it? Yeah, your minute and a half.
I mean, look at all the Star Trek ones. They're basically a minute and 40 to a minute and 55 seconds.
I don't know whether you knew this, Ian, but when the BBC first showed the original series of Star Trek, they had the titles at the beginning. So they didn't have the little preview bit.
No teaser, just went straight in.
No teaser. The teaser came after the music.
Really?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Back in the 60s, when Star Trek, the original series, was on, the shows were closing in on 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And so what gets cut to, in syndication for commercial time? Okay. All of a sudden, you're losing major scenes in some of these episodes. It's a problem because it really affects the work that the teams did on all of these shows back in the day.
Yeah,
Same
great.
thing with whatever, Mission Impossible, Medical Center, The Fugitive. Anyway, I digress.
So, Kate, before you say your number 3, then, are there any intros you don't skip?
Star Trek or any show?
Well, I feel like I can't say my Star Trek ones because it's going to give away my 1 and my 2 because I never skip my 1 and my 2. So
yeah.
I love the theme for The Walking Dead and I love the theme for The Last of Us.
Well, that's right. I knew you were going to say Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, come on. It is a view. It's iconic.
The Walking Dead is how myself and Kate met, by the way. Just so you know, I was editor of the magazine and I asked Kate to write a column for me.
Cool.
And I thought he was lying. And I was like, okay, well, sure. And then you would follow up. You came back like a few days later or a week later and you were like, seriously? And I was like, oh,
yeah.
You're being
so
serious?
we both share a love. I think Kate loves Walking Dead more than me, but I also love Walking Dead. We're both big horror fans. So.
Me too. I mean, and I both did the themes you're mentioning, Kate. I totally agree with. They're great. I actually like Last of Us better.
One of the things I liked about The Walking Dead, I know we're going completely off topic here now, is how the logo of The Walking Dead itself actually corrupted as you went further and further into the seasons, till at the end it was practically almost unrecognizable.
Like disintegrates as it goes on. I love that as well.
Anyway, Star Trek.
All right, number 3 for me. I also think this is probably going to be a hot take, and I don't care. I love it. It's the animated series.
Oh.
I love the animated series. I love it so much. Ray Ellis, do you guys know the story behind his name?
Yeah, he had to go under a pseudonym. Yvette Blaze.
Yeah, something got to do with publishing or royalty problems. I love that. I thought that was a fun fact. But yeah, I love the instrumentals. I love the pacing of it. I love the chaos of it because I think it fits the show. And there's something about how it builds and picks up throughout. It makes me feel, it's going to sound so weird, but it makes me feel like I'm running through like New York in the 80s, trying to catch a coffee and check the stocks, and I'm late to something and I'm not sure what. There's just an energy to it that I absolutely love.
In the 80s, you were late for a mugging.
Now, only Times Square.
Yeah, but I loved it. I loved the yellow font. I think it's happy. It's one of the most fitting for the series, I think, in terms of visuals and theme.
Interesting choice.
I prefer that theme to the original series one.
Really?
I do. I have a block on the original series. I'm not trying to hate on it. I just can't get past after getting over the initial shock that it's sort of mimicking the visuals of the original series and then not having the theme. I do. Not by a lot, but yeah.
But that's something that I really liked about it as well, that it mimics the original series, because I just love it. I think it's cute. I think it's a way of kind of keeping on to that original feel, but still putting its own spin, because as soon as that music comes in, it's like, okay, this is not at all like the original series.
I've got to go with The Next Generation for number 3. For me, this is the most hopeful of all of the scores, and it really is triumphant in its own way as well. And I just love the timpani as well. I think that's huge in terms of building to a crescendo for this particular score. Just in terms of the visuals, it's cool. You've got Patrick Stewart's mellifluous voice, and then the camera catching the Enterprise coming right at it is just an absolutely gorgeous visual as well. That is one of the themes that I will listen to without really hitting skip. I'm not one of those guys who, collects scores and keeps it by my desk and, does my work to it. I use rock and roll and, acoustic music and whatnot for that. But if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm watching Star Trek and I'm writing about Star Trek, or even just researching some of our conversations here, I will listen to that theme in full because it's just so good. Now, we all know it's a recycle of the motion picture theme, which is why it's not higher on my list.
Yeah, I prefer the motion picture version.
Yeah, me too. Which of the 3 versions? Because if you're talking about the title sequences, there's 3, isn't there?
Can I just say, I really don't like the Superman version of the titles.
From season 5?
Yeah.
That's the only one which almost made my top 5 from Next Gen.
Of course it did, because it has a Superman connection.
I always struggled with why the lettering was so mundane, especially when you then saw Deep Space Nine while it was still on, which had that, used the movie font, was a really nice treatment. I could never understand why it was just this flat blue. Actually, Ian, you can confirm this. I'm right in thinking that whenever they did a Next Week on Star Trek, they had a better version, a metallic version of the logo that sort of swooped in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why isn't it that? Why is it just this blue thing, donk?
It's like that logo you get on your TV that bounces around the screen.
Yes. Right. When you got a screener. Yes.
Yeah.
Ignoring season 5, does the difference on the opening bit with the improved VFX effect, do you prefer one to the other?
Well, anything with better visuals is going to be better visually. They enhance the sound to match the images. So I'd go with that. It doesn't make a tremendous difference to me.
I haven't chosen TNG in my list at all either. That's partly because I just think it's an iteration visually on the original series, and also just because I prefer the music from the motion picture rather than the Next Gen version.
Both good reasons.
I mean, that sort of leads me on to my third pick, which is the original series. Just like Ian, when I think of Star Trek, this is the theme I think of. In terms of visuals, yeah, it's not the most eye-grabbing. I happily admit that. I mean, it was made on the cheap, right? It's just cobbles together footage from the cage and Where No Man Has Gone Before. So you're not seeing anything kind of original in there. But if you're talking theme only, this would be my number 1, no question. It's not even close. I prefer the original Enterprise ship than I do the Enterprise D. I find it more visually pleasing. And the theme, it has that kind of iconic, mysterious, cosmic overture of the intro, which is reused and reworked throughout Star Trek's history. And then you've got this upbeat, rhythmic bossa nova style, which dates it. I mean, it does feel very 1960s, but I find it very catchy. I am going to throw in a personal memory here.
Oh, God.
I was in a room with some family members of an ex-girlfriend of mine. They were 2 Welsh women choristers from a very well-known, renowned, giant Welsh choir. And they were going around singing songs. And they got to me and they said, oh, what do you want? And I was like, I couldn't really think of anything. And I was Star Trek editor at the time. And they said, oh, we'll do the Star Trek song. So those 2 women basically did the They did the whole song. It was a truly, truly magical moment. I've never forgotten it. It really, really stunned me. I do think it is slightly tainted by the whole Roddenberry Courage thing. I don't know if you have ever heard the fan renditions where they sing the lyrics to the song. It's kind of funny. I mean, the lyrics are absolutely trash.
It is funny. The only thing that could be better is Shatner recorded one.
Yeah. I didn't realise this until I was doing a bit of research. It's essentially a rip-off of an old 1930s song called Beyond the Blue Horizon. He's just essentially changed a couple of words. So, yeah, Roddenberry, he was a dick sometimes. Let's face it.
He was a man of his era.
Yeah, I love the man. I love him for creating Star Trek, but he was a dick sometimes. That's my number 3. It can't be any higher because the visuals aren't strong enough.
The only other thing I'd like to comment on in that is actually the Shatner's intro. So the first time I heard, and this is very particular and it's a very idiosyncratic way of doing it, you have to bear in mind the first time I heard Space, the Final Frontier was at the end of Wrath of Khan.
Right.
When Leonard Nimoy did that very gravelly, deep version. And consequently, when I heard Shatner's slightly fuzzy recording, because it wasn't great, it was the 60s, I was unsure. And then, of course, I heard Patrick Stewart's, as Ian already so eloquently commented, with also, I should note, the word of the day, mellifluous, for Picard, was even better. That I struggle with that too. I like the words are great, and also one of the interesting things was hearing
split infinitive aside.
Well, I don't care about that. Never have. I knew that before I knew what a split infinitive was. Hearing Shatner's slight paraphrasing at the end of Star Trek 6 just kind of showed how really brilliant it could have been, and it kind of was, but kind of wasn't. I understand if it's the way you came to it.
I mean, this is the point. I think of this as Star Trek. I think of the original series as Star Trek because that's what was my introduction to Star Trek.
No question that our entry points make a big difference.
Yeah, because narration is better. I don't disagree with that, but I do think of Shatner's first.
You said about the music. You think of that music. I think of the motion picture fanfare when someone says Star Trek. That's literally what I hear in my head. Interesting. Okay, my number 2. This is what this is going to be interesting. My second favourite title sequence is Strange New Worlds.
I respect that. It was my number 6.
I really love this on many, many levels. For me, this is the best Jeff Russo theme. Again, it walks that line, but it is just close enough. And as I've said, because I don't quite have the love for the Alexander Courage, I like this version. I think Anson Mount, talking about the reading of Space, the Final Frontier, I think his lovely, subtle, quietly, softly spoken version, sotto voce version, is absolutely...
Say what word that was again, Rich, just for us ignorant people.
Sotto voce, it's the Italian term for soft voice in music, I think.
Right.
The musician can speak to that more. Kate, right?
I had never heard that term in my life. But yes, let's say, yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rich occasionally uses words that no one else knows.
He's so mellifluous.
I think he has a thesaurus in front of him and that he looks up fancy words for basic terms just so he can drop them on the show.
Ian, I can confirm that he doesn't, because he speaks like this when he comes and stays at my place and he throws words out at me and I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Well, that's why I don't let him come to my place.
I knew there was a reason, Ian. Now I know. Saying to boldly go when no one has gone before now is like saying the name's Bond, James Bond. And he does it brilliantly. He could have crumbled. It could have been all, and I'm sure he did lots of versions maybe. I don't know. Maybe he nailed it the first time, but it's really nice. And given how essentially he's now the definitive Pike, it's a lovely start. And I love the imagery. I love seeing the windows and the details. And while ordinarily I totally agree, and Ian knows I agree with him about the models, for sure. But this is about as good as a CGI presentation of a ship can get. Crucially for me, it has the best end to any title sequence, that when Russo's dum 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 dum, then it gets a bit bombastic and it's strong and rousing, and then it goes into the title sequence and the reference to the Alexander Courage song, and I was like, okay, please let the show be as good as this title sequence. Thankfully it was, as I think we all agreed when we watched Strange New World Season 1, Star Trek's back. Star Trek's back. So this title sequence is the best combination of everything for me. Love it so much.
Rich, I tend to agree with everything you just said, but the theme as a whole isn't as interesting to me until the last 30 seconds. It really, truly comes to life for me at the end.
I agree with you on that, yeah.
And I love the way it bleeds into what comes next. The rest of it is very good. We're just, again, we're talking 6 or 7 here. Just for the sake of our list, a little too little and a little too late.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, except the reason is, though, it's what Toby said about how the original series is lower on his list than it would be if it was just the music. If it was just the music, this probably wouldn't make the top 5.
I get it.
It does work as well thematically in terms of it being a prequel.
Yes.
And that it's something new and then it bleeds into something familiar.
And it is different enough in a way that Discovery sort of does the same thing, but, it's just like he refined his process for this one and was maybe freed up a bit more to be a bit closer because it is a direct prequel series. But let's be honest as well, one of the reasons I like it so much is the beauty parties are of the nearly perfect version of the Enterprise. It isn't quite the refit, but it is kind of. I think it's the most beautiful ship that's featured in the title sequences as well as everything else. Kate?
Well, I feel like Ian kind of robbed my answer with his number 3. My number 2 is Next Gen. I agree with everything you said. Technically, I think in terms of visuals and sonically in terms of theme, yeah, there is a hopeful undertone, but I think it's more, there's a level of seriousness to it that just fits the show so much that there's less whimsy from the rest of the ones that I had on my list. But there's still like a touch of magic to the theme. There's still a touch of, I know I keep using this word, but whimsy, and it's something that comes to mind an awful lot when you listen to a lot of the themes, or at least the ones that I have on my list. And then you have Patrick Stewart coming in, like Ian said, coming in straight off the bat. I think it's perfect. It's not number 1, but if I couldn't choose my number 1, Next Gen would have been my number 1.
It's a bit more wistful at the beginning than the original's overture, isn't it? And then it goes into the march, which is the triumphant, let's go out and explore.
Yeah.
So it's worth noting that it's actually the first time that they combine the Courage fanfare with Goldsmith's motion picture, because he didn't do that in a movie till Star Trek V.
I guess that brings me to my number 2, which is Enterprise.
Well, I honestly thought I'd be the only one who had this in my list. So.
No. Look, I dislike Faith of the Heart as much as the next guy or gal, but
It's not called Faith of the Heart.
it is.
It's not. That's what the original song is called.
Yes, I know.
It's called Where My Heart Will Take Me.
But it's based on Faith of the Heart, so I'm going to call it Faith of the Heart.
Yeah, but they retitled it.
Not that we're pedantic on this, Kate. Not that we get stuck on detail.
Again, this is my editor self. I have to have this correct.
Well, whatever you want to call it. Russell Watson has a great voice.
He does. He's an opera singer.
It's a great tenor vocal. There's no question about it. It's cheesy as fuck, and I could live without it. However, if we are combining the visuals with the music, there's nothing more interesting, frankly, than this particular one. I love the imagery. I think it's super cool to go from sailing ships to hot air balloons to early aircraft on through rockets and astronauts and the shuttle, and then warp flight. You get explorers of the past, explorers of the present, and explorers of the future all wrapped into one cheesy 3-minute song. If they had done a minute version of the song, people might not hate it as long, but when you have to get 2 minutes of this, I think it's still really cool, very different. And I thought, you know what, good on Berman and Braga for even doing this. Huge swing, a huge miss, but a huge swing. Full respect for that. But as an opening sequence, especially when it goes from the space shuttle to the NX-01, it's a beautiful image. I was surprised as anybody. Now, here's the tipping point. Here's why it's above Next Gen and a couple of the others. I am including in here In a Mirror Darkly. In a Mirror Darkly almost was going to be its own subset at number 1 for me. It's so cool.
It is.
They gave it some oomph. Also, the way it ends, and it says created by Rick Berman and Brown and Braga, and you've got that image of the sword and the globe. It's just really, really, really cool. I just thought that was exceptionally well done.
Right. My number 2 is Star Trek Prodigy. It's Voyager's intro with the gloves off.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's better than what I said.
Significantly.
It's pacey, it's exciting, it perfectly caters to its audience. Rich mentioned this, but it pairs really well with Michael Giacchino's theme. Great drum beat throughout, and when you listen to it, it does become a bit of an earworm. It feels really bold, exciting, propulsive, which is what a Star Trek kid show should be, Like the visuals, I think the music actually pays a lot of homage to the Voyager soundtrack, as well as working in some of the JJ music, which again, we also love, or iterating on it. I mean, it just feels like proper Star Trek as much as it is new Trek, while also appealing to a younger audience. As a side note, just to say, I have invested in a copy of season 1 of Prodigy, so I'm finally going to be watching the show.
It's good. Gets better and better and better as it goes.
Well, the opening sequence is a little too animated for me.
As Ian will often say, I'm not an animation guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get to the number ones. I'm sure, Kate, you're very relieved.
She's like, I get the fuck out of here in about 15 minutes.
No, I'm loving this shit.
If Rich will shut up. Go ahead.
Hey, I've been quite good this time. My number one, I expect this to be a bit controversial, is specifically season 3 of Star Trek Picard.
Ah.
So this is the first time that Star Trek had a truncated main title, and it ran like a lot of Marvel films, like a lot of TV shows now, it runs its title credits at the end. Specifically, the music they use is this Jerry Goldsmith's First Contact melody, which is one of the most beautiful pieces of music in all of Star Trek. And it surprised me when he was in First Contact, and it is absolutely wonderful. And all the things we often said, actually melancholic and yet very celestial and elegiac. So as it plays, initially it's playing across Elkar's animations, which contains Easter eggs to what's going on in the show, but also key characters and creators all pop up in it. And crucially, and the reason ultimately that Next Gen itself didn't get in, is because it segues from the First Contact theme into this motion picture march. What this represented, because I'm the one who was most swept up by Picard Season 3 and enjoyed it incredibly, and I have to admit, when I want to watch that cast, that crew, it's now in, those last couple of episodes are in my list, as much as any Next Gen, as much as First Contact is, and this title sequence sums it up. I rewatched the YouTube thing. I watched on a YouTube list with all of the title sequences on, and this is included as a bonus because it's the closing credits technically.
So it shouldn't be on the list.
No, but it is, because it's what Kate said, which is that they truncated it and they moved it, and it's brilliantly visual. And I love the use of the okudograms from the Elkars, which we all love in general, and it's quintessential Star Trek. And it's got the best versions of Star Trek music in it. Both of Jerry Goldsmith's most exemplary pieces of work in the franchise included at the end. And yes, it's reused from a film, but if Next Gen could be on a list, which a couple of people have had it on the list, this is the best usage for me. It's a better recording than it is the one in TNG. It's got full orchestra. It's just on the criteria of credit sequence. This is, for me, easily the best in Star Trek.
But let me reiterate again, this is at the end.
But it is the title sequence.
But it's at the end. I believe the very definition of a title sequence is the beginning of the show.
It's not like he's had 4. Come on.
Yeah.
He breaks the rules. We all remember when he put 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine as his top 7 seasons.
Right.
And you're talking like he's not Captain Ty. You're talking like he doesn't just go, I can never pick, I'm going to club everything together.
I expect it of him.
Rich, shut up. Katie, you got to have a better choice. What's your number one?
My number one's the original series.
Good on you.
Because it's the OG? Why? I like it. I approve.
I don't know. I really do think that you can never beat the original. Technically, yes, you can, but it was the first. Seeing how many different iterations, both visually and sonically, throughout the years followed it, it just speaks to how iconic it is. You know what I'm saying? I love The Soprano. The girl who was just going for it in the background, that last high note that she hits, you get that nice build-up going into it. I think it just suits it absolutely perfectly. It's fun, it's whimsical, but again, there is, like you guys have said about previous ones, there is like a level of excitement, hope, and like, let's get the fuck out there and explore. I love it. And I love that this might come across as an insult that it's not supposed to be. It's such a product in its time in terms of visuals and the team itself. I love it. I think it's just a perfect little capsule of what the original series is.
I mean, you know it's a 60s show.
Yeah.
Straight away.
And I think if you take it and you either show it to somebody or play the team who has no idea what Star Trek is, chances are they'll still know it. They'll go, oh, like I'll guess Star Trek. Is that what it is? They would know it.
That's a great point.
And one thing, I know I sort of isolated the visuals a little bit. I didn't mean to.
You did. You were a bit of a hater.
Hey, it still made my list.
I saw her take notes saying hater, hater, hater.
Yeah, I was like, Toby has no taste.
Outrageous. What it does do is it does tell you we're on a spaceship, we're in space, we're going out and exploring, and it matches the introductory narration.
Toby, that's what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of that, it works. And then obviously it gets mimicked in Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager.
All I know is if I've got to listen to a 1966 TV series, there's a certain Cape Crusader who tramps, which is equally chintzy and of its time, but knows it is.
That brings me to my number one, Voyager.
Oh.
I kind of expected one of you to have this as number one.
I have to go with the Goldsmith score for this. It's beautiful. As written, and I'm no music expert, okay? So this isn't me saying, oh, it hits this note and this, it just, if I have to listen to one theme from Star Trek, yes, the original is the classic, and it's the one everybody knows, and it's the first one that I can hum. But in terms of context for the show and just simplicity of the music itself and the impact of the music itself, you sense that a crew is lost and you sense that a crew is trying to get home. And that is what this particular theme is supposed to express for us. It doesn't beat you over the head. It does it beautifully and slowly over the course of the minute and 52 seconds or minute and 55 seconds that it runs. The instrumental voices are great. The movement is beautiful within it, and the images match that perfectly. I believe it's a French horn that does the opening honors in that song. And when you get the ship coming out of the nebula, is there any cooler image than that? Talk about a mix of CG and practical, right? The model work on that is insane. It doesn't need to be improved. That is not one that I would go high def. It doesn't need to. It works as is. It's a ship lost and a ship seeking its home. And for me, it's the perfect combination of those two things.
Glad, no argument.
Well, it was in all our lists.
The only one I think that was in everyone's list.
Right. I mean, the original theme is the most iconic and the most important. A lot of the other themes felt compelled to borrow from the Courage theme to give that sense of continuity in Star Trek. So whether or not it was the best, everybody can argue that. Is it the most important? Is it the most iconic? Of course. And the biggest swing, I think, like we said, goes to Enterprise. But in terms of the music and the visuals working in combination, for me, it's Voyager at 1.
Yeah, as you like to always point out, Ian, rightfully, that we're doing our favourites.
Right, but just in terms of quality or expert skill, I wouldn't be able to define that because I don't know, did this person play the flute better than this person on this theme? That's not me. I cannot be the judge of that. But what do I like, sonically and visually, is Voyager.
You summed it up very nicely there, though. I was going to say beautifully. It's what you said about what it communicates with no words. Sonically is not a word I would normally use. I think it's been used really well by both of you. Now you've said it, you're quite right. It wouldn't have occurred to me to articulate it that way, but it is. You understand the tone and the atmosphere immediately. And when you talk about technicalities, that's really hard to do with the melody and orchestration. Toby, bring us home, bring us home.
Oh, it's controversial.
What is it? Is it Picard Season 1?
I swore on this podcast that I would never name Discovery as a number 1 on my list. But I guess I never thought that we would be discussing both theme and opening titles.
Toby, this? That's us showing you the turbo lift doors.
Yeah. I honestly, last night, do I go against my principles in praising a show that I really am not keen on at all? Or do I go with my head and just admit that I really like both the visuals and the music, and the marriage together make it my favourite? First, let's talk about art style. It did change throughout the series, season by season.
How would you know that? You didn't watch it all.
Because I watched them all. That's why.
Just the titles, not the show, though.
Yeah. I fully admit that. That's the art style that I really like anyway, just in general life. I like that kind of manuscript style, sepia brown color. I love the Star Trek elements that are built. Yeah, the blueprint, the Star Trek elements that are familiar, and they're built in a kind of almost wireframe design with splashes of bright color. I find that really satisfying on the eye, really pleasing. I've mentioned in the past that I'm not a big fan of the design of the USS Discovery, but here, where it's mostly shown as a flat outline, I really like it. The music by Jeffrey Sue, I think this is his best Star Trek theme, personally. There are the expected callbacks, musical callbacks to the original series at both the start and the end, which I feel had to be in there in order to link classic Trek with this new era, because Discovery launched this new era essentially on TV. But then it comes in with its own theme, and I think this theme, in many ways, feels like Goldsmith's Voyager theme. It shares a lot with that. There's the stirring brass elements, there's the building strings, there's the melancholic cellos, as well as the little tinkles of the piano keys. My ear is not good enough, but I also felt like there was maybe some choral aspect to it as well. It sounds very in the background. I'm not sure if that's true.
But even if it's not, whatever the orchestration does has evoked that for you, so...
Yeah. Is it my favourite Star Trek theme? No. Is it my favourite titles? No. But combined,
yep,
I have to admit that this is my number one, and I'll probably never live it down.
You will, because I had it number 5. I agree that I had it number 5. Do you know what stops it being slightly higher on mine? This is really small.
Wait, Rich, what stops it from being slightly higher on yours?
Typographically, it's the only version of the word Star Trek I don't like. I know that sounds crazy.
You're a picky motherfucker.
But all these little things are important. The same way the ship design is important, the uniforms are important. One of the problems with Discovery was always the uniforms, for instance. Typographically, I've always liked the Kirk-era movie lettering the most. I remember thinking that one thing I didn't like in the initial era of New Trek was that treatment of the logo. They scrapped it, pretty sharpish. You know, it was only used on Discovery. It wasn't used anywhere else. Even when they made their ident, they reverted to the original series, which is a great font.
Typographically, I mean, I am someone who likes fonts. I do like fonts. I have several books on fonts, and yeah, it's not something that's ever bothered me.
That's why I mention it, because I know that you and I, typographically, we talk about this stuff.
Well, the ship itself is a little steampunky. And I think the visuals kind of go with that.
Well, Ralph McQuarrie, yeah, it's very industrial.
Yeah, very, angular, boxy, whatever word you want to use. Yeah, not my favorite ship, so it's not my favorite opening sequence.
But it's very barely in it, and it's sort of in the opening section, and then it's mostly just like a flat icon sort of passing through, and I think that works very well.
I like the look of Discovery. Certainly doesn't look like a toilet.
Hang on, I want to bring up something you said there, Rich, about the font or the typography. Given the fact that this is such a long-running franchise, and you've shows and you've films, this could go out to all of you. Would you prefer if they kept the font or the lettering consistent throughout all?
I'll leap in straight away and say no. It doesn't bother me. No, I'm happy for them to change up the font and do something interesting. I think that's fine.
I agree with Toby completely. It won't always work.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has an opinion, which one they like and which one they don't. Specifically Rich in this instance, it's enough to keep it off his list. But just like the shows need to be different but echo what came before or what came timeline-wise, what came after, I think you need to differentiate it. It would probably be constricting to the creators of all of the shows, the creators of the opening title sequences, all of that, to have everything be the same across the franchise for 60 years.
I wouldn't want it to be the same, but and I don't say this often about Star Trek, it could learn a little lesson from Star Wars in the sense that the words Star Wars are always the same, and then they vary the rest. And I think that that's probably what I would do.
That's what I meant, to just keep that one as the consistent throughout everything.
Yeah, I think I'd keep the word Star Trek in the Deep Space Nine Voyager movie font, and then have those words, because they did that on some of the novels. There was one which was Enterprise in the 90s and before the show, and they had that done that way, and I like that, so that you get a bit of both, best of both worlds. No pun intended.
Interesting. Hey guys, before we get into the farewells and all of that, Katie, why don't you tell us what's going on in your world? I checked out some of the videos and I like your social media quite a bit. The black and white shots and all that, and good fun stuff.
Thank you.
And Memento, good song.
Thank you. Man, that means a lot. Yeah, I am the drummer in a band. We are called Lyterian. We just put out our new album about a month ago. We're going to be doing quite a few shows over the summer, in Ireland anyway, and then we're hoping to broaden, fingers crossed.
And then you got a top-notch producer to do the new album, correct?
Dude, I could talk for years about how everything had to fall into place for that to even be a possibility. We worked with a few different mixers. It was mixers mostly, mixers and masters. So I don't know how much you guys know about the music process.
A little bit.
Less than we know about Star Trek, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
When you finish a song, you got to record it. You have all your stems, all your pieces, and you send it off to be mixed. And depending on who you pick, it can make or break a song. So that's just basically mixing the levels. So if you don't want the drums to be in your face, the loudest thing you hear, which as a drummer, I'm like, I see nothing wrong with that personally, but like to each their own. But the mixer basically just levels everything. And then once you're happy with the levels, they will send it off to be mastered. But in between the mixing and the mastering stage is production. So we worked with Mark Saunders, who worked an awful lot with The Cure. And we worked with Gordon Raphael, who did The Strokes.
Wow.
First 2 albums. And we also worked with Neil Avron, who is one of my absolute heroes. He worked on some of my favourite Linkin Park, 21 Pilots, 30 Seconds to Mars, 5 Seconds of Summer albums. I couldn't believe he took a shot on us and was like, yeah, I'll work with you guys. The thing we're most proud about as well is it was all done like literally in-house. We don't have a manager. We don't have anyone reaching out on behalf of us. It's me and an email address, hoping for the best, sliding into people's DMs like, hey, you looking for someone to produce?
So do you want to plug your socials, though, and your YouTube and things like that, where people can find you?
My own socials is Katie Shocks.
Do you want to just spell that out, Katie?
KATIESHOX. I thought you were making a joke on my last name there for a minute. And I was going to be like,
no.
I know. I was like, fuck you, it's an Irish last name.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm Katie Shocks on Instagram. I don't really use Twitter all that much, so Instagram is probably the best place to find me. And if you're looking to stream Lyterian, we're on all socials. And our debut album is also self-titled, so it's real easy. It's just Lyterian by Lyterian. And we're also Lyterian on Instagram.
And if people want to watch your reaction videos, you are on YouTube and...
It's Katie O'Shaughnessy.
And you have a Patreon as well, right?
I do. Yeah, I also have a Patreon, which is also just Katie O'Shaughnessy. I like to keep things very basic, just a name.
Thank you so much for joining us today, though. Yes, brilliant. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. It's a great theme, ironically. Yeah, it was one of those interesting ones where someone went, and I think that the end point about combining music and the credits and the two things being greater than some of their parts, I think is key for a lot of things.
It definitely threw up some... Obviously, for me, it threw up some very interesting results.
Yeah, I mean, we all had different stuff. I mean, somebody's number 5 was number 1, somebody's number 1 was number 5.
And Voyager was the real winner because it was the only one in all of our lists.
Everyone had it.
But that's just our opinion. What do you think out there? Please let us know how crazy and hypocritical Toby might be for going with Discovery as the number 1. And as ever, how wrong I am. I'm kind of used to it by now. So you find all the details for contacting us in our description. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Beyond the Final Frontier.
Peace, love, and logic, everybody.
Ta-ra, bit.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Final Frontier, a Star Trek podcast with Rich Matthews, Ian Spelling and Toby Weidman. If you want to get in contact with us, you can email us on beyondffpod@gmail.com or check us out on social media. You can even join our Patreon at BFF Beyond the Final Frontier. Huge thanks go out to Alex Weidman for the brilliant original music. Please search Alex Weidman Composer on YouTube to hear the full fantastic theme and more. Also thanks goes to award-winning voiceover artist Cissy Jones for our excellent opening monologue. Find out more about her incredible work at cissyjones.com. And of course, last but not least, our brilliant artwork comes from the designer Russell Seal. Discover more of his work on behance.net/Russell Seal. Thanks again and see you next episode, Beyond the Final Frontier.